charging higher prices for your services is less about the money, the amount. It's more about what the clients perceive. So you can think the Indian example would be, okay, why is Mercedes, priced at whatever price point it is priced versus a Maruti Suzuki, for example. They are both car companies in India. And interestingly enough, Maruti Suzuki is known to be a low cost car maker. You have Toyotas also, you have Skodas and BMWs and all the companies are here, right? But why is it that certain cars are in the luxury segment and certain others are not? And if you start thinking from that perspective, you'll realize that there's a very specific reason. And if I say this, and here is a funny thing, right? If I say a Mercedes is just a car, just like a Maruti Suzuki is, or just like a Toyota is, right? I know some people will actually jump in to defend Mercedes, and it's happened. It's a interesting experiment that I do. Although they are not related to anybody who owns Mercedes, they don't own the shares of Mercedes, they don't own a Mercedes many a times, but they are jumping in to defend. No, that's not true at all, right? Why is it? Why is it that if I compare Mercedes to a, let's say, low cost car maker, some people will jump in to defend? Because the perception of Mercedes as a luxury premium engineering marvel type of a car is very strongly built, at least in the Indian context. So is BMW and others. So when it comes to pricing, there are a few factors that drive it, right? Firstly, it is how the clients perceive the market or perceive your services, etc. Then whenever you try to pitch something, why does it not work? Trying to pitch something premium and it is not working. The clients are not believing it. Then how do you differentiate from competitors? Why clear positioning is better for higher pricing, which means it's easier to price something which is a niche, which is very, very narrowly defined, than something which is broadly defined. And finally, it's about packaging your services. How you package it matters a lot because that's what lends a perception. Remember, services business have a problem. And the problem is, and I'm not talking about the services businesses, which is like a haircut or a lawn maintenance or things like that, or a plumber or a carpenter coming to your house. I'm talking about services where you're dealing with intangibles, knowledge services, things like legal services for that matter, or marketing services, or many of these website design services, website services, coaching, training, consulting, the broad category. These are all known as knowledge or professional services. And there's a very big problem because there's nothing to touch or feel, or there's no clear visual transformation. It becomes even trickier when you're trying to charge higher prices because based on your whims or fancies, right? The client can always say, why are you charging me this? The competitor charges me Y. But they cannot compare directly and it becomes very tricky. So I know for the same website, for example, can be done in India for something as simple as, let's say, $100, right? It's still in the ballpark. It can also be done for $10,000, $20,000. There are people who do that in India, right? In the same market. It depends and it's nothing to do with the technology. The same technology, WordPress, for example, right? It's a popular technology. People are using WordPress and charging $100, and there are others who charge $20,000. How's that happening? Why such a big difference? It's based on who they cater to and what they build for them, and we'll come to that. So some of the common mistakes, it's obvious. The client says, you know what, that price is too high. I can't afford that, and you lower the price. So it's of course a negotiation tactic. Or they come and say that in the market, everybody is charging $100. You cannot charge 1,000. So you start lowering the price. It's a Me Too price. Okay, I am also in the race type of a problem. Then everybody says, I will build a website for you. You also say, I will build a website for you. There's a problem. The problem being, you are not differentiated. Your message to the market is not differentiated from what the others are saying. Selling to unaware prospects, people who do not and I'm taking the website example because it's easier for everybody to understand. If it is not, just let me know. Let's say you go to the market and sell to people who don't care about a website. They know a website is an interesting thing to have, but it's not a necessity for their business, right? They might be running, let's say, a local school, and that school gets the kids from that neighborhood. And having a website, not having a website doesn't matter. And you go and sell a website to those people, and then they say, okay, fine, get me the cheapest website possible. Why? Because they don't know what a website can do for them. They're unaware of the benefits. Then there are people who will, lead with features. Oh, I will create 10 pages, I'll create 20 pages. And social media marketing, I see this quite often, right? Where I will do 20 posts a week for you, or I will do X, Y, and Z. Okay, X is a platform, right? X, Y, and Z platforms. And we will create these many images for you and things like that. So it's just numbers, right? It's features. Instead of why you are doing it. Instead of saying, I will improve your visibility from X to Y, I will improve your reach, I will get you more leads. You're just talking about the numbers, the activities you're doing, the features of your offering. There's a concept called market sophistication. That is how you measure the market, where the market is in terms of the understanding the customers have about the products and services. So it's not about the customer. Customers can always be ignorant or very knowledgeable, doesn't matter, but how has the market moved forward? For example, if I don't have to explain what a personal computer is to anybody. I do not have to explain what is meant by a smartphone. Right? But think back to 2000, maybe 2005, maybe, and you will realize that a lot of people at that time did not know what a smartphone was. In fact, the smartphone concept itself was a very niche concept at that time, and it became smartphone later on. Now all the smartphones look similar, and they all compete on how big the camera is actually, or how many number of lenses are there. And it's ridiculous. But then the market has moved on. Their understanding has moved on. Today, you don't have to find a person and ask them what is a smartphone. They will not say, I don't know what a smartphone is. There may be people, but the numbers are very, very less. Similarly, AI, artificial intelligence, people may not know exactly what it is, but they at least know what a chat GPT or an AI chat system is, right? A lot of people know that. 100 million plus people know that for sure, because that's the number we know about the subscribers and all. And finally, if you are a Me Too, see the second point here was generic Me Too messaging, and you may say, hey, that's the same as what you're saying right now. Not really. Messaging is what the market sees when you send it out, right? A differentiator is what the market perceives when they look at your products, your services, your website, your, all the artifacts that you're putting out there. They look at you and say, okay, you know what? This person is a social media marketer, or this person is a website developer or designer, etc. Or this company does this. But they cannot attach anything more to that. The problem is one of, a car versus a premium car, or a car versus a safe car, or a car versus a luxurious car, or a car versus a, sports car. When I said these terms, I'm sure some kind of images might have come to your head. That is the difference, right? Does the customer or the end client perceive you? They think of you. They put you in a bucket in their brain, right? Many people put me as a lead generation specialist. Some people put me in a bucket of marketing, right? Or some people put me in the bucket of automation. I'm talking about myself. I've seen this because I've seen some people save my contacts in that manner. It's very interesting that, and it's over the years, right? Because earlier on I did that, then I did this, then I did this. I'm just talking about me here. So different people have a different perception of who or what I do, and they always relate it with that. So if I were to change my category, if I were to go from, let's say, marketing, positioning, and all this, and move on to, let's say, development, software development, it will be very difficult for a lot of people to let go of that identity and put me in a different bucket. It's not that they are biased. It's just that that's their worldview about me. Similarly, a lot of your clients have a worldview about you, right? And if that is not different from others, it becomes very tricky to sell better or bigger products. So let's get into this. There's a concept called client awareness, right? It's also called customer awareness in the product business. This comes from a seminal book by Eugene Schwartz, written in 1960s, early 16s, right? Um, so what happens in the book is really good. If you get your hands on it, please try to read it. But it's kind of very. I think it's been out of print for a while now. Uh, so there are 5 stages at which the client awareness works. So let us say you are trying to seek solution for something new. You are unaware there's a problem that exists at all. For example, You may be unaware that not having your accounts audited after a certain revenue is going to cause problems. It's a very accounting oriented, right? Now, if you don't get, and in India, you have kind of different levels. At certain revenue level, you need to get it audited. Otherwise, you can file without auditing. Unaudited accounts can be utilized. So if it's not audited after that certain revenue level, you can get into trouble with the IT department, income tax department. People are not aware of the problem at all. They are problem aware. When do they become problem aware? When a notice is sent to them. IT department sends a notice saying that, hey, you know what, you're in violation and we are going to freeze your accounts. Right? It happens. There's something called as GST in India, right? GST, goods and services tax. And if the IT department feels that you or GST department feels that you have not paid enough of that tax which you collected from your clients, they can freeze your account. They can freeze your business account and recover that money. It's a very, very, very nasty process at some level because you have to go through the pain of appealing and getting your account released and all that bank account release and all that stuff. Right? Solution aware. There's a problem. You're aware of the problem, but now you're aware of the solution that you should approach a chartered accountant or you approach a legal person and things like that, right? And you're researching the options. You're trying to figure out what all can be done. You're product aware in the sense they are aware of you. They know you are the right solution provider. Maybe you're a GST specialist or a GST notice specialist, right? They know that this particular problem, you are the right person to solve it for me. And the final person is the most aware, which is mostly a sales negotiation thing, right? You're in the sales process. See, this is shifted from the marketing to the sales bucket. Every single service, every single product has customer in all these 5 stages. If you have just started the business, maybe the fourth and fifth stage doesn't exist yet, but at least the first 3 stages exist. Why is this important? This is important because many a times we are pitching to the unaware person. We are saying we will educate you, we will teach you something, and that person is not interested. Ah, okay, it's entertaining, but why do I care about? Why do I care about what you're offering? That happens. So please be careful about that, right? So just these are frameworks. This is a little bit of theory, and this is a little bit of a way to structure your thoughts around, who are you pitching to? Okay, messaging for each awareness session. Now there's a problem. There's a solution also, right? So if you are primarily dealing with unaware people, for example, when AI came to the market, right, you were dealing with people who were completely unaware. So a lot of short videos, YouTube videos, influencers, etc., came up and said this is a possibility, that is a possibility. At least 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, I think now, right? So problem aware people, they have a problem, they feel the pain, right? And what you have to do is you have to talk about the inaction. It's called agitation, right? If you don't do this is the trouble you will get in. If you do not take care of this, tiny little pain in your hand, for example, right, you may have to go for a surgery. If you do not use the right position for typing, you may end up with carpal tunnel syndrome. So you have to agitate the extreme case where they may end up. That's how the messaging works here. Solution aware people, you have to educate on your unique approach. Why you are different, why you are better, why you are superior. What you do is get wonderful results, etc. Become a millionaire overnight, get 5,000 leads over 2 weeks, or whatever ridiculous thing there. That's where all that lies. Right? Then the product aware is somebody who knows you. But then that's where case studies step in. You need to have more case study. You need to have packaged products, easier to understand things. Pricing problems that come there when people are product aware. And most aware is when you give them an irresistible offer saying that, hey, you know what? I will solve this problem. You pay me this much money. If I'm not able to, I will give you money back, or I will work with you for free, or something like that. Right? Some irresistible offer is there, or I will do 2 hours for free, or something like that. It could be irresistible offer itself is a whole discussion, but we will come to that at some point. There is another concept right, called market sophistication. This is when you are trying to study the competition. And again, this is not about one person or the client. This is about your competitors, right? You're studying the clients, that is their level of understanding. But when you're studying the competition, you're looking at their level of sophistication. So if you're just first in the market, you were the first person to make the PC, or let's say, IBM PCs were there, now the Apple PCs were coming in, right? They just announce they exist and this exists, this product exists. Then if it's lucrative enough, competition will arrive. They will say we are better. That's happening in the AI arena. If you see, every week somebody comes with, say, a new model, AI model, and says, this is better, right? And this benchmarks are there, this is there, that's there, and we are better at this, we are better at that. Then the market skepticism arrives, right? That, okay, everybody says they are better. I don't think there's much difference. So then they reveal a unique mechanism. What's a unique mechanism? Let us say uh, PCs, we exist, we have better or cheaper, or this can be used at your home, we are better. Okay, everybody says we are better, we have more RAM, right? We have more RAM, we have better processor, or you can draw your art in this computer. It's a unique mechanism, right? Then even the mechanism, everybody has more RAM, everybody has more, let's say, better processor. Processors are reaching, it's like the smartphones, right? We have better camera, and the camera is machined by this and that, and the the photos are so bright, you can just zoom, 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 but you can see the hair on the back of the fly that is sitting on top of your popsicle and all that stuff, right? So what you're talking about is you're saying I have a unique mechanism that helps you, but my mechanism is superior. I'm still claiming superiority because my process is so elaborate. Then the final stage is where everything exhausts. The customer is tired of all your claims. Only your identity matters. That is where branding starts working. A lot of luxury goods are all about branding. They have nothing to do with how good the products actually are. It's about I own this watch, I drive this car, I own this bag, I have this designer who designs my clothes. I don't buy anything off the shelf. So a lot of this is about your self identity, also the brand that you're a customer of, a client of, because there's so much exclusivity around, right? And getting access itself puts your social status up. That's the reason. That's when market exhaustion starts happening. You are seeing that in the laptop markets today. In the laptop markets, pretty much everybody is at similar levels, except maybe Apple, because they have a new mechanism. They have kind of gone back into level 3 because their processors are superior today. They can claim superiority. They can say, we have a better processor, M1, M2, whatever those processors are. So you can shift back and forth in the market depending on how much the market moves ahead. Anyway, this is important because if your competitors are in that level 4, where they are saying, we do this A, or we transform your, for example, we have uh, a marketing system that uses AI. And that's the latest hottest thing, right? Everything is done at half the cost and 10x the speed without errors. That is the process. Just saying we have AI is not enough, but saying AI that does something, that is the elaboration of the process, and that helps. So that's where the digital marketing or the marketing people are today, especially those who are doing content and stuff like that. So if you're there, if you are also there and you're just competing in that circle, right? You cannot charge more money than your competitors can. Let us say you are in a market like okay, this is a very interesting one. AI training, for example, that's a market, right? That's a particular product or service that is being sold. Where is the market? The market is at level 2. Everybody is saying we are better, we are the best, we know what we are doing, we have done this for 10 years. AI did not exist, doesn't matter. Right? But then the claims are there. Now, in that, can you charge more than your competitors? Let's say everybody charges $500 for the training. Can you charge more for similar training? Probably not, unless you add something else on top of it. Saying that all the trainers are ex OpenAI. They were the ones developing ChatGPT. Then you have a unique mechanism there, right? Because the trainers are better. So you can charge more for it. You cannot charge unreasonably high prices if you are in the same level of market sophistication. Try to understand this concept very well, because your clients who are seeking solutions are also looking at your competitors, and they say you're very uh, highly priced compared to your competitors, but you are not differentiated anyway. They can't see any difference between the two of you. So they will go with the competitor. Why will I pay more for the same thing? Unless you are a celebrity, right? But that's level 5 again. So this has to be thought of a little carefully, that if you are in a market and you're competing at the same level of sophistication, from the client's perspective, there's no difference. They will not pay you extra. So you have to differentiate yourself. So if you want to build, which means what is differentiation? Differentiation is nothing but positioning. I mean, in the marketing lingo, it is positioning. How does the customer perceive you? What is in their head, their mind when they hear your name, your brand, etc. You cannot, pricing is not differentiating, features are not differentiators, faster delivery is not differentiated unless it's automated delivery. For example, if I have to sit down and create a proposal, right? And I come and say to you that I can create this really nice looking proposal or a pitch for you in 1 day. And my competition comes and says, I can do it in 6 hours. Not too much of a difference. But the third person comes and says, you know what? This will take you exactly 5 minutes. I need a pitch deck. And you're saying it will happen in 5 minutes. How is it? Here is the software. Positioning has changed, right? Sophistication level has changed. You have completely differentiated from the competitors. So faster delivery can be something which, if there is a surprising amount of speed in that. So you have to compete on unique methodology. You have to talk about specific outcomes and very, very specific as far as possible. Do not say, I will do marketing for you. It doesn't. You have to try and be industry specialists, and you have to tell stories of transformation, not of activity. I wrote 20 articles last week is not something that people are buying. But I got my client published in 5 top publications in the world is worth talking about. It's an outcome, it's a transformation. Client was unknown, now he's getting calls from celebrities. Yes, huge transformation. So this is Hormozy, Alex Hormozy, he's written a lot of books. So this is a formula of premium pricing, what he talks about, right? It's basically, again, in the beginning of this webinar, I said pricing is a function of perception. It's a perceived value, especially when you are selling services. It's about the perceived value. So if you're talking about perception, so again, he's put in an equation. It may not be 100% accurate. Again, it's not a mathematical equation, but what drives perception? How close to my solution are you? What are you promising? How certain am I? Are you giving me a guarantee? You will earn 30% returns on your investment. Is it guaranteed? Yes. Okay, great. It can also feel like a scam sometimes. Do you have proof? Do you have a track record? Do you have a certification from somewhere? So some of these things matter there. Certainty. How much of my time are you reducing? That 8 hours versus 6 hours versus 5 minutes. Huge difference in time. How much of effort should I put in? Do I have to sit for 2 hours to create this, narrate everything to you, and then you will put it together? Or you will just come to my website, understand what it is, and put it together for me? So done for you is much, much simpler and can be charged higher amounts than do it yourself. So I also want to reveal some strategies, right? I mean, these are some strategies. There are plenty more. There are about 20, 30, 25 of them. But one is specialization. Specialization, not just in your work, what you do, but specialization in whom you work with. For example, you can always do Google ads and Facebook ads for any company which is online. But if you just specialize into, I will only work with SaaS companies which are scaling from A to B, and I will only do LinkedIn ads for you, then that's specialization. That you can charge a better amount for that. And in that market, you may have competitors, and how you position yourself is a different story altogether. Unique mechanism, our five layer audit finds 67% more vulnerabilities, or our 2-layer check on what do you call contract writing ensures your contracts are foolproof, things like that, right? We guarantee 30% reduction. So outcome focus can be there, category creation can be there. Now this category creation by itself is a huge topic. There are companies which only do this. They talk about category creation, right? Category creation is also about terminology at some level. Revenue architecture firm, what does that mean? I don't know what that means, right? But then that's a very uniquely named thing, whatever that thing might be. So you can name your services also. You can create a separate category of services which others may fall into, but it's so uniquely defined that others cannot step in that easily. Exclusivity, of course, is again, sophistication level has to be high. You have to be known well. People have to be waiting at the doors to get in. Only then exclusivity works, but it does work. There could be other also. For example, uh, price focused. This price focus can be premium price also. That's another strategy. But then there are about 25 odd strategies, so we'll not go into all of them. But just broadly, they can be categorized under some of these. So if you think about it, if you want to position yourself as a premium offering, then you have to do one of these. You cannot be a digital marketing firm for everybody and be premium price. Not possible. You can be a specialist in increasing revenue of or multiplicative revenues of, let's say, D2C brands, clothing brands alone in India. I will work with Indian clothing D2C brands and I will increase their revenue by X percentage. Or I am a specialist in bringing offline brands online, clothing brands, popular offline clothing brands online and driving revenue. That's a very unique position. Now that revenue architecture can come there also. But anyway, these are some of the mechanisms or some of the strategies. Okay. Now, how do you package this? Let's just put it in the service, this thing, right? How can you create or how can you reimagine the service you offer into premium pricing packages? You can have a diagnostic package, very easy, right? What you're doing, is this correct or not? Should you spend more money doing this? Is that premium? It's actually an entry point, but that is something you might not be doing at all. For example, intellectual property rights. I was part of that industry. One of the services that I had launched at that point of time was intellectual property audit. Okay. So come into your company, sit with all your engineers, all the people, and understand if you actually are producing something which is intellectual property, I mean, rights protectable, right? Patents, copyrights, trademarks, etc. But stepping into your company and spending that 1 week with your entire team is a privilege, right? So you have to really sell that hard, and I could sell that really at very, very high price. And this was about almost 12 years ago, 12, 13 years ago now. So it was similar to a diagnostic package in the sense you guys are doing a lot of work, but how much of it is actually unique and protectable and can be used as an asset at some point of time. The pitch was really good on that, and I'm very, very happy that that worked out at that point of time. It could also be something simple, like you're going to go to market with a particular marketing, uh, let's say, strategy and packaging and all that. Here is a diagnostic package to ensure that everything is in line with your brand, right? Let's say you use orange and white as two colors, and there's pink that is crept into some of this messaging. You don't want that to happen. So, auditing the branding is something that you can offer to your clients. Well, auditing your social media and telling you where you are going wrong and why your reach is not improving, that itself can be a unique thing, right? These are invented things. These are maybe you're not offering them, but it's worth offering because it pitches you at a very, very at an entry point where the client knows you're differentiated from others. Implementation packages, all of us do. Every service provider does an implementation of one type of other. The optimization is something very interesting, right? Okay, you are running, let's say, Google ads and Facebook ads, and you're running your influencer ads, etc. I'm talking from a marketing perspective, but the results suck. So who do you go to? You go to a specialist. I recently heard about a company based in Norway. They are a pure mechanical engineering company. They don't do much beyond that. They are the people who Lego approaches when Lego is stuck in something. If Lego is stuck with a problem, and Lego sells all these bricks, right? And nowadays they sell themed bricks, so you can build a castle, build a park, and all that. But sometimes they are not able to figure out how to get this thing working together. The Norway-based company is the one they approach. How niche and how specialized do you have to be that you're optimizing a specialist company's problem? Okay, let's talk about companies that audit your existing processes, for example, and that in engineering and logistics that happens quite often, right? They are selling that, and they're specialists. They are known as specialists. Faster accelerator package, of course, everybody knows that. I mean, what I can do it faster than others, and typically, fast doing something faster can pay you higher amount if the outcome is needed today. Overnight courier costs more, right? So why does it cost more? Because the result is required today. I need it today. And if you can get it to me today, then I'll pay you more. And each targets different awareness, sophistication level. So again, if you unpack this, these are some ideas, right? Again, these are ideas. So if you unpack everything, you will see they work at different levels of awareness. Like diagnostic package works at pretty much at the solution aware level, and you know your entry point market sophistication is at number two or something like that. So you have to kind of unpack it and see. But these are some ways to package your solutions and services. And again, need not be limited to just what you do today, but you can take a piece of what you do. If you lay down, these are the 20 steps I do, I can take step 3, 4, and 5 and add it to something else and create a different package. That's one way of thinking about it. So again, this is the very important slide. That's why there are two bullet points against each one, and it's each sentence. So price anchoring, yeah, obviously, this is, I mean, we have all heard this. We have all heard of this in the retail business. You go in and they have a big cross against the price and say, pick two and get 10% off, up to 40% off. Up to is in small letters so that 40% is in more. And this is all kind of anchoring, saying that, okay, this is $1,000, it is available for $100 or something like that. Right? So that is one way of saying that, I will, and coffee shops also do that, right? Small, medium, large, or whatever they use. You can also do that. You can have three outcomes, and you can start with the most expensive option instead of. So if you see on most websites, it goes this way, right? I mean, the smallest, then the mid one, then the largest price, right? You can also reverse it. You can say the largest price first, the mid-level one, and the smallest price next. So that kind of anchors you to the largest price, and then you reveal the smaller prices. So middle one gets sold more often. Cost of problem pricing rather than cost of effort pricing. That's another way. If I'm solving a $1 billion problem for you, I expect to be paid in millions, not in thousands, right? And if you charge thousands for $1 billion problem, you are anyway not going to get inside and get to do the service at all. Competitor pricing is another thing. Now again, how much premium should I charge over competitors? Some people are happy with 5%, some people are happy with 1%, some people want 50% on the reference. Up to you. Can you justify that pricing? Value stacking can happen, bonuses can happen, exclusivity of certain accesses can happen, guaranteed outcomes. These are all things that a service can utilize. There are a lot of other tactics, but as a service provider, there are limited number of options you have that you can utilize. These are most of them, by the way. How do you handle? This is obvious objection, right? I mean, you're too expensive. I can't work with you. You're too expensive. So you have to. If that is a common problem that you're encountering, then your outcome that you're providing is not very clear. So you can. These are the strategies. You can reframe. You can educate. You can segment. Right. So narrow it down. You can prove your value with the previous results, case studies, etc. Or you can just walk away. These are the obvious strategies. There might be a sixth one that I haven't figured that out. But at the end of the day, this objection will come up. Then the minute you increase your prices, clients will say you are too expensive, and then you have to justify the cost. Or when you're building up your marketing, your sales, the cost justification is already built in. There are, for example, in the non-service world, there are certain showrooms, there are certain shops. You walk in and you know it's going to be expensive. There is nothing, no price is written, nothing is written anywhere. But just the second you walk into the shop, you know this is an expensive shop. Why? Goods are expensive. There might be, just the ambience of the place, the lighting, the way the products are kept. Only two bags are kept on the shelf. It's not crowded. Everything looks exclusive, and the people who are there to help you are all very well dressed, right? So there are signals you can send from the beginning of a sales engagement, indicating that this is a premium price service. How do you do that in a service business? Well, there are mechanisms for that. There too, it is important, the perception from starting from your website or the first touch point. Anyway, this is the IT consulting case study. This has happened just post COVID, in 21, 22, around that time. And there was a problem people were facing, especially in the website WooCommerce, sorry, the WordPress front end plus the sophisticated backend problem, and WooCommerce was one of the issues. It was an IT consulting that had repositioned itself for banks, for wealth managers, for advisors, wealth advisors, etc. And there was a issue going on, and earlier on they were just saying, we are a WordPress specialist, and they were listed everywhere. Then they repositioned themselves for wealth services, and then they started pushing that out, and it was interesting transformation, because this 500, I mean, so many dollars per hour type of projects to going into this huge amount of fixed projects, and then monthly retainers, because you are maintaining something very, very uh, complex and very necessary, right? So they were able to come up with certain unique mechanisms, and the company still exists, but they have completely transformed. They have rebranded themselves. They don't call themselves a WordPress website specialist and all that. They are completely different. And this has happened. There's another case which I have not written here, but one of a training institute, a communication training institute. As soon as you hear about a communication trainer, typically what happens, they are doing ads on Facebook, and from the ads, they are bringing you into a program, a webinar, a free webinar, or a 99 rupee webinar, etc. And then they are selling you something which is 1,000, 2,000, and they keep on selling, upselling, right? Now, when I did that assignment, this was interesting. We shifted the entire thing. We said, okay, forget the webinar, forget selling 1,000 rupee course and then a 2,000 rupee program, then a 10,000. It doesn't work like that. We threw that out of the window, and we said, you are going to subscribe to this uh, practice session. It's a communication skills training. Without practicing, how will you ever get better? So outcomes were clarified, saying that, okay, speak with confidence in front of your boss, uh, have a commanding voice with your team, be respected for your views. So there were a lot of these problems that people are facing, and why they wanted to have better communication skills training. And those were taken and put into the ads, and that is how the pipeline was built for an initial webinar, and people were asked to join this practice session. So it was a subscription. It was not come to my next webinar or next course. It was a subscription, and the subscription was for 6 months. So you had to pay X amount of money every month and attend those practice sessions every weekly to improve your communication skill and get to the outcome that you wanted. It completely changed. It shifted the perception of that company. You're no longer competing with all the other people who are selling the 49 rupee webinars and 1,000 rupee session and then 2,000 rupees. And no, you're completely different, completely change the mechanism and the process. So level 4, right? Level 4 of sophistication. So you could charge a slightly higher price for the monthly retainer, but in 6 months time, you're earning much, much more than your competitors. Yeah, that is another story. What should you avoid? You should clearly avoid, you know, raising your prices without additional perceived value. If there's no perception of increase in value, you cannot increase price. Again, perception increase of value. If you are going to target college kids, they are broke. You're not going to get better pricing. So don't try. Saying we are better, we are the best, nobody cares. You have never done any of this work earlier, or you have no, proof at all. Do a couple of things for free so that you can have a couple of case studies. One day you say that you are the best in the world. Second day you say that we are still trying, still learning. Conflict in positioning. Now again, if you are selling commodity, if in today's market you are just selling website design services, you are in a generalist market. Everybody can do that. AI can do that, right? But you are very, very specialized. You are in web design for XYZ type of this thing where AI and others can't come in. Then it matters, right? Pricing matters. Otherwise, don't try. Again, sophistication, awareness level, etc. If you are playing in a very crowded market, it's very difficult to stand out. That brings us to the end of this session. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.